I see Tom here. He's in my mastermind group.
I know. Last time I talked to Thomas was a few months ago, and we were planning on moving a bridge, buying and moving a bridge onto his property. Thomas, how are we doing with that? Unmute.
He's getting there.
Oh, well.
Tom, unmute.
All right. Let him practice and we'll
Okay.
get back to it. All right. Good stuff. Okay. So I am recording. That's correct. We are live on Facebook. That's done. We're correct. Good stuff. Facebook Live with Neil Schwartz and our very special guest, Melinda Elmer. And we were just talking, Melinda and I were having a very private conversation about when we had first got together. No one was listening, I'm sure. When we first got together, oh my gosh, I don't remember the year. I want to say it was about 6 or 7 years ago. Ring a bell?
No, I think I've been with the company for almost 10 years now.
Well, there you go. See, you're having fun. And the question was, how many deals was Melinda doing? Because she was pretty fed up with her production, which was a decent production at the time by most standards. She had been doing 50 transactions a year, probably mostly buyer sides, I think, at the time.
Like 80% buyer side.
Yeah, buyer sides, and wanted to shift. She was a strong listing agent. She just hadn't shifted at that particular time. So that was number one. And then she wanted to buy a new pretty house. She wanted to get married. She wanted to have a baby, and she wanted to earn $1 million, and not in any particular order, but she just wanted all of those, right?
Right.
Okay. And it was 2 years later that happened?
Yeah, we bought our house in 2018. We got married in 2018 and got pregnant in 2018.
It's a good order.
Yeah. I think everybody should go in that order. It's a good
order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of causes problems with the getting pregnant part because you have stress. So, it's trade-offs. But all I saw was money going out. So then it gave me motivation to bring money in. And then I don't remember, the first year I broke $1 million was 2020 with a 6-month-old entering COVID.
Yeah, but you broke $1 million, but you ended up at $1.6 million.
Well, that was $1 million to my company, not
got it. Okay, understand.
So that was the first. Yeah. Just looking back here, my numbers are on the wall.
But when we talk, typically when we'll talk to top agents like yourself, and they get this vision of this gigantic team, and you're doing all this kind of stuff, and then they get a vision of that you really prospect anymore, you buy leads. Wait, have you ever bought a Zillow lead?
There have been moments of weaknesses where I've paid for Zillow territories or whatever before they went to their new model, and it only ever brought me really I'll just say crappy leads, and it never really paid for itself. So I would go through these cycles where I would buy it and then do it for a little while, and then I would stop because it just didn't bring me business. So
right. And you're very good about that. You check where your business comes from, what comes in, and even though there's money coming in, is that money coming in and is it profitable? Is that segment?
Yeah, I mean, there's times when I test stuff out, right? Like I have theories about things, and I think it's valid to sometimes try it if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, don't do it, right? Just get out there and work. But if you can afford it, I think it's worth, we all talk to each other and we say, oh, I found this lead source or whatever. And we're like, oh, I'm going to try this out and check it out and see what happens, right? And they test it out for a little while, and then when it doesn't work, cancel it. But cancel faster, maybe.
Maybe cancel faster.
Or just don't do it.
Or keep
checking.
This is what we tend to do. We set up a system and we say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. We were just talking to Marco about, going to see 5 expireds, going to see 5 previews and door knock 10 around it. We've been touting that for, even before you came with the company, Melinda, I'm sure.
Right.
We're going back 15, 20 years with that. And can you believe it? Some people still haven't started it, and some people started it and stopped it. Can you believe that?
Right. It's very
Isn't that
profitable to
crazy?
do that. Hmm.
Yeah, kind of wild. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about when you first got started, because a lot of times people can't relate to earning, basically right now you're earning 83 plus $1,000 a month, right?
Right.
Okay. So it's hard to get it in our head when some agents are struggling, get a listing, get it sold and get closed and get a check for 15 or $20,000, and you're coming home month in and month out with about 83, $84,000, and that's probably going to go up. What do you think you're going to end up by the end of the year?
This year I should be I have 56 closed, I think right now. We have 10 or 11 pending. And we have four or five, no, 6 offers we're negotiating right now. So
Well,
I
got
should
it.
pretty much at my goal, which is 75 transactions, and my average net check commission is about 15,000. So whatever that is, let's
It's a lot.
do the math. Yeah,
That's great. Okay, excellent. So when
mhm,
you first started this, you were working buyers
right,
because that's what you were taught to do.
right.
You were you, when did you get into the Mike Ferry system, or get exposed to that kind of stuff in terms of your career? Was it within the
Yeah,
first
so when I
year or
first
two?
started, I worked buyers because there were so I was in an office and I met this guy who was a Mike Ferry agent. And although he was only a fake Mike Ferry agent because he did the scripts, but he didn't do any coaching. He like only did like maybe this much of a Mike Ferry system. But the big thing he did was scripts. And I had come from a theater background, right? I was a theatrical stage manager, and part of my job as a stage manager was to keep the actors on script. And they couldn't change the words. If they did, I gave them notes to correct it, right? Sounds interesting, huh? So
Never does. You're a tyrant.
I know that was my job. That I was paid to do that. It's just like in TV, you're a script supervisor. The script supervisor's job is to make sure the actors read the lines exactly as written, not changing them. Um, so that was my job. So when I got into real estate and this guy said to me, well, it's just like an actor. Here's the script, you follow it and it works. I was like, oh, that makes sense to me. It was a no-brainer. So I started doing the scripts, but this was in 2003. And anybody on here been around since 2003? Few of us. Okay. So those of us, I mean, in
Miguel,
2003,
Jackie, Neil, and
Tess.
Melinda, and Tess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everybody else.
there's a few.
Right.
Gonzalo. So those of us who've been around, we remember, right? Even back in 2003, you stuck a sign in the yard and in 4 hours it would be sold. So it was extremely competitive listing side, and there were still multiple offers for buyers back then. Most of my real estate life has been in that kind of environment. So I do really well with multiple offer environments. Um, most of us have been in that environment for most of our careers, I would say. And the so what I would do is I noticed all the listing agents in the office would have all these buyers calling all the time, but they didn't want to work with them. So I just started going up to the agents and saying, hey, if you don't want to work with that buyer, can I work with them and I'll pay you a referral fee? And they were like, sure. So they all started giving me all their buyer leads. And I was doing just listed, just sold calls for those buyer leads. And that's how I got my very first listing. So because I didn't feel like it was truthful, and maybe this is just me, I was weird. I didn't feel like it was truthful to be like, I'm working with a buyer who's, looking for a home in your area if I didn't actually have a buyer. So I found some buyers, started calling, and then I started doing just listed just so calls all over Long Beach. And yeah, I took my first listing. They bought another property. Um, that my very first client has been friends with me for these 23 years. He just recently passed. Um, and uh, uh, and yeah, so that was where I got started on my first listing. But I very much maintained that heavy buyer pool for a very long time, partially because I was young too, and I looked young, and people were like, "Hey, you're young," and so I think they made a lot of assumptions that I should only work with buyers, or that I attracted a lot of first-time buyers at the time.
Well, you did a great job with it. You stayed in the business. And when we met, you were still doing, I don't know, 70, 80% buyers, but you knew that in order to get to 75 and 100 transactions, you had to get out of the buyer business and get into the listing business. And wanted to have a family, and
Right.
you love taking time off. It's not uncommon for you to have a weekend off quite often from your church's perspective. Um, and So tell us more how that worked. How did it transpire?
Well, obviously, we started working together and looking at ways to increase my listings, and really focusing in on that. And there were just so many different things that I did over the years, just little tweaks. And I would say the biggest takeaway that I could give to people is don't make big changes, make little changes. Um, it's really hard if you've done no working out to suddenly go to the gym and bench, 175 pounds. It's not going to happen. Or if you do, you manage to, you're going to get one or two out, and then you won't be able to move for the next
And
4 days.
then you're going to yourself and be a mess for the next two
Right.
weeks.
And then you're not going to go to the gym, and that's done. Right. So it's better to go to the gym and lift 45 pounds, bench 45 pounds for 3 sets, and then slowly work up, right? Same kind of idea here. Like if only been, if you're making no contacts a day, start by making 5. Start by slowly increase that. If you've been making 20, don't jump to 50. It's not going to be sustainable. And so I would make these small increases. And every time I tried to make a big jump, it would fall apart and not happen. So it's those small incremental moves that I think may have made the most difference and created the biggest change versus trying to make a big leap. Like I could have said, I'm not working with any buyers. I'm just working listings. That's it. Period. The end. And I probably wouldn't have had an income for a little while. So I
But
had to
which
make
would have been if you're independently wealthy.
that. Yeah, that would have been. And I'm not, right? I have a pretty strong checkbook motivation. My staff also appreciates their paychecks as well. So, so yeah, so it was just making those little changes. Um, am I perfect? Absolutely not. Like one of my things that I've been really harping my team about is not texting people after 7:30 at night. And guess who did text last night at 8:30 last night because she'd been in appointments since 1:30 yesterday afternoon? Me. And guess who got chastised by my staff this morning for sending texts and setting expectations that our clients were going to reach out to us at 8:30 at night? I got in trouble, right? But like in general, we're making these small fine tunements to make our lives better, also set expectations with the clients so that we have a better business, they have better customer service. And then that brings us more referrals, which brings us more business. So as far as switching, it was a gradual shift. It was, looking at really, I think, starting out by setting up some really strict standards for those buyers. For buyers, if I do work with them, and now Rochelle is my buyer's agent and she works with them. And in general, I don't unless she's on vacation, or like right now she's got 6 buyers she's working with. And there have been a few times where I've had to go show properties because she can only be in so many places at once. Um, but in general, my job is to be in the office prospecting or going on appointments for listings, and her job is to be dealing with the buyers. Um,
So you've done a terrific job with that. And talking about growing, there was a period of time where the goal was to have 5 or 6 buyer's agents, and you, right, look at her finger, guys.
That's a bad idea. Don't do it.
Yeah, it was. And if I sit
Almost
down
killed my
and
business.
it was a financial disaster, it was an emotional disaster. Uh, and what's interesting, this is proof, my theory of to bigger, you have to get smaller. This is exactly what Melinda did. She let go of every one of her selling staff and extra TCs, et cetera, and ended up with one buyer's agent, one fabulous TC, and one great Melinda. I don't,
And
I,
and I have a director of operations. We just brought on a listing assistant, and we have a TC. But I only have one buyer's agent and myself. That's it.
right, right. And how did that change your business?
Oh, well, I also was coaching for Mike Ferry at the time that a lot of this was going on. So in 2022, I thought to myself, hey, we did 102 transactions this year. If I can bring on 2 or 3 other buyer's agents, then I should be able to do like 150 deals, no big deal, right? And that was my thought process, my delusional thought process. So I thought, okay, we'll just do that. So then I started coaching for Mike Ferry. So I would do that I'd have Mondays and Tuesdays where I'd be coaching. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'd spend working with my staff, which left me like 2 half days and a Friday to do my actual business. And my business started tanking. So I was trying to figure out what the heck was happening. And when I talked to Mike about it, first, he pulled me out of being a coach. And second, he told me to get rid of all of the buyer's agents except for one, which I did. I fought him a lot on it. And it took me longer than he would have liked, but
It was,
I got rid
look,
of it.
you were fighting Mike.
Yeah.
I
And
didn't
then,
agree with this. I don't want anyone on here to think I agreed with this. Okay. I did not agree with it, but um, Melinda's a strong personality. She knows what she wants, and she's convinced that she can outwork anyone, et cetera, et cetera. And all of that is true, except who needs the aggravation?
well, it was like herding cats. Like there was too much personality going on, and all 3 of my buyer's agents were in different levels of stuff. And the one I kept actually was the newest one because she was the one who listened, who took what I said
Most coachable.
and was the most coachable. So that's the one I kept. The other 2, I was like, go with my blessing. I want you to make lots of money, but you got to go do it on your own. You have more experience anyway. So go out in the world and sell property. So I thought the world of both of them. I just couldn't manage all of that because all I was doing was spending a whole day coaching and training and working with my team and dealing with problems and managing instead of selling. And I can sell 50 homes on my own rather and be more profitable than I can by having to wrangle a bunch of people. So at this point in my life and where I'm at, it's more profitable for me to do that.
It makes more sense, and you have a little bit more time off, that's for sure. One of the other things that's a little different than most real estate agents is you actually teach your people how to handle the situations. Whether it's Rochelle as a buyer's agent, whether it's your TC, whether it's the people that do the work for you in general, your lenders, et cetera, and you create systems, if you will, that you don't have to go back and fix all the time. And that's a great attitude of yours that most of us real estate agents don't do or don't let happen. And one of the things was when we started, and I'm assuming you're still doing this, although I'm not in the details of your business, when you started having the sellers pay for the home inspection and making sure the termite got ordered early. Are you still doing that?
Absolutely. Yeah. We don't, for all single family plus, like multifamily, whatever, we do home inspections prior to going on the market so that the story is almost 10, 15 years ago at this point, there was a little house in North Long Beach, little Spanish style 100-year-old house, and we sold it. Sold it the first week it was on the market, got a great price for it. Seller's happy, everybody's happy. Buyer did their inspection, found out the foundation was completely shot. Well, that was $50,000 repair that the seller didn't have. And so that deal was dead. And now we had to go back on the market. We had to go get the bid from the contractor, go back on the market. Now we're tainted because we've been on the market before and fell out. And we have to sell to a cash buyer because most people can't get financing if the house needs a new foundation. So we ended up taking, I think, $80,000 or $90,000 less, sold to a cash buyer. But all of that could have been prevented had we done a pre-sale inspection. So I said, well, this is stupid. I know on the East Coast there are states where they do all the inspections before they even go under contract. Why don't we do the same thing? And so we created the system. So before any single family home, multifamily home, or condo with air conditioning units or some more complicated system, if it's a 1 bedroom or a studio condo with no air conditioning, maybe a wall furnace, we use our judgment, right? Probably not going to do one there because the inspection is probably going to be less than the repair request is going to be. So we generally don't do one there. So we've refined that a little bit because it was more cost effective to do it that way. But I explained to the sellers, I say, look, guys, you're going to spend $500-$600 on a home inspection, but we're going to find all the issues. And when we get when we get an offer, we're able to say, hey, this is being sold as is with no additional repairs or credits. So the majority, even now, where the buyers are pickier, most of our offers, when we get them, either are waiving their inspection contingency or only doing a sewer scope or only doing one thing. So I generally don't our buyers all the time ask for $30,000 on repair requests because the roof is bad, or the pool equipment is old and is shot, or the air conditioning system is bad, or the plumbing system is bad, right? But the sellers didn't know that until we did our inspection. So the person who has the most information has the most control. So when we have that information prior to them accepting that offer, it puts us in a much better control position, and we can help save our sellers a ton of money, but that way.
And you a ton of aggravation.
Oh, the least favorite thing that I have to do is negotiate repair requests. So I thought, before the days of AI and automate all the stuff you don't like, well, there's no way to automate a repair request other than this. So think of this as your AI for inspections and repair requests. You're getting all the information in advance, so you already have this intelligence that you're moving forward with, and it helps just eliminate a lot of that aggravation. Now, do I still get repair requests? Absolutely. Do I go back and say, you already knew about all this stuff, we'll give you $400 or we'll give you $1,000, and do they sign off on it more often than not? Absolutely.
Well, the way you've structured it, it's an easy way to convince the seller. Almost every seller on a repair request is going to get something between $1,500 and $4,500 on average. And
more than that, I think, especially right now, the average request for our buyers, I would say, is between $20,000 and $30,000.
And if you can get the seller to prepay the $600-$700, it's almost like an insurance policy against having to pay any serious money.
Yes.
It actually makes you a better, more valuable real estate agent when you tell the clients that story and say, look, you want me to help you save $5,000 to $8,000? You're worried about 1% on the commission? Let me show you this. And you tell them that story, one after the other. Then all of a sudden they say, wow, this is a great real estate agent.
Right.
Melinda,
And a lot of people pick me because they like that portion of things that we do all those investigations up front.
Lita, did you just have a question?
I did, Tom. Do you
Oh,
post
Tom, sorry.
Do you post your inspections on MLS so the agents see it before they write offers?
98% of the time, yes.
Okay.
If we have something that looks scarier than it actually is, for example, if we have a foundation issue, but then we have a different, like we have our, if we have a foundation issue noted in the inspection report and we have our foundation guy come out and look at it, and he says, oh, it's like, it just needs some epoxy and it's like $4,000. We might not post it in MLS right then and there because they stop at that and they go, oh, we're not buying this because of this issue. So then I'd rather have a chance to explain it and show them, hey, look, the foundation guy came out and it's fine. So most of the time, yes, unless we have something that looks scary, but maybe isn't.
Thank you.
Awesome. And you get the termite report done up front also? That's just part of the same deal?
That is, yeah, almost 100% of the time.
Yeah, got it. Fantastic. What if the inspection calls out a roof uh
Then we get a
certification
roof
or something?
bid. Then we get a bid. Most of the time, we don't do work. Well, maybe not most of the time. We only do work if it makes sense. So if mold is a perfect example of that. If we do an inspection and find out that there's potential mold in there, we're probably going to address that because A, that scares everybody. And B, it can be a big unknown. Like you open something up and then it leads to more stuff, right? I think our average mold uh, repair has been about $30,000. So when we find that there's a potential, even with condos, mold issue, we have one right now where the bathroom upstairs leaked down into the lower for several days because the owner wasn't home and the bathtub had been left on upstairs. So it was just running down the walls for 3 or 4 days. So there they're gonna have the insurance company come out, but the insurance company only covers like this much of it. But we're gonna make sure there's no mold or have not, we aren't personally, but we're gonna have the mold people come out and check all that and get all that done because that will scare a ton of people off. A foundation issue, if we see a foundation issue, we have our foundation guy come out and give us a bid, but we don't necessarily do the work right then. Termite, same thing. We get the bid. So we have information on what is going to be, if somebody asks us for a termite report. Let's say we have a house with a bunch of peeling paint. We might get a bid for the paint. So we know how much it is. So if we get an FHA offer that's $20,000 more than a conventional offer and the bid to paint is 10, well, then we're going to do the paint, right? But we're not going to do the paint until we know that we have that FHA offer that's $20,000 more. Or if we,
So
like we
go
just got
ahead.
a roof bid for somebody, the seller kept telling me the roof was old, it was at the end of its life, it needed to be replaced. And I sent my roofer out and he said it's $2,000 to do a tune-up. They said sold, they're doing it because they want to make
Got
sure it doesn't get worse during the rainy season coming up. So all of, we use our judgment and our experience, and this is where, this is where AI can never replace us, right? Because this is where we need to use our experience to say, hey, based on this, these are my recommendations. You do what you're going to do, Mr. Seller, but I think this would be beneficial for you.
So Melinda, uh, as a professional real estate agent, and I mean that, very, very, very few agents um, do business the way you do business. Okay, I've been doing this for a long time. But I want to ask you is, okay, so the question comes up with what makes you different? So most of the things we're talking about are like under the hood. You don't, they're not white wall tires and they're not polish on the car. I mean, these are under the hood issues. How do you explain these situations and the fact that you're getting the client, the seller, in most cases, thousands and thousands of dollars, either A, in their pocket in the beginning, or B, in protection? So how do you communicate that?
You know, I think at a certain point, I've been doing this for 23 years. And for those of us who've been doing it for a long time, we've seen a lot of stuff, right? We've seen a lot of issues. I feel like I'm sure there's an issue somewhere out there that I haven't seen yet. It will come up. I have a first happening right now. So like stuff happens all the time that's new. And I don't remember which escrow person came in this morning, but one of them was like, "You have some doozy files." But I think sometimes I get those doozy files because I know that people know that I can handle them, right? And I don't have to sell myself as much as I felt like I did maybe when I was younger in the business because I know what I'm talking about. So the more I don't have to tell people how many homes I sell in a year. I don't have to tell people these things. Mostly what I do is I listen and ask questions to understand what's going on in their specific situation. Here's an example. I sent a referral to an agent in Hawaii and um, they're going to sell their house. It's going to be like 1.2 million, 1.3 million in a particular part of Hawaii. I checked out the agent, made sure she, covered that area. She did, all good. She went out, met with them. The client said she was lovely, but she didn't listen to us. They had a neighbor that they wanted to sell the house to. And Hawaii is very, you know, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, right?
Very
So
clicky that way.
very clicky. So she said, well, but no, I can get you more money. And the seller was like, no, but I want to sell it to this neighbor. Can we work something out where you can help us with all of this stuff and put it together? Unless she can't qualify to buy this, we just want to sell it to them. And she was like, no, but I can get you more money. And they were like, you're not listening to us at all. They were like, bye, thanks. And they sent her on her way and she didn't get it. And they ended up hiring an attorney who came in and did the paperwork and the neighbor bought it. And they're closing next week.
Right.
But if she would have listened to what they said and said, okay, I hear what you're saying. Hey, let's write it up. This is what I'll charge you if they buy it. And if they don't buy it, we'll put it on the open market, get it sold for you. But she didn't think about, all she could think of was this square box, right?
Most agents think if
In the
they
square box.
get more money, well, square box, but the square box is made out of money.
Right. But
And
that's what everybody wants.
right. Well, that's exactly. And, one of the years ago, I heard this all the time. Well, if I can get you another $50,000, would you sell?
And that's
No,
not always what they want.
exactly.
What
I
is
mean,
it that they do?
Brandon's looking at me like I'm on drugs. How could you not want another $50,000? Brandon, people turn down millions of dollars not to move. Did you know that?
Hey, Tom, will you mute?
Sorry?
Tom just needs to mute.
Oh,
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
Okay, no worries. No, I mean, that's a perfect example. I went on an appointment with a guy not that long ago, and he was insistent that he wanted to sell it off market. And so I just kept asking them questions. Tell me more about that. Why do you want to sell it off market? What's important to you about that? And it was a 4-unit property. And it turned out he had a bad experience before where he put it on the open market. His tenants all got freaked out. It was this big ordeal. So he wanted to sell it off market. And he didn't end up picking me because frankly, I didn't, and that didn't work out anyway. So he ended up refinancing and pulling cash out. But he was like, I really appreciated all the time that you took to help really understand my situation. I think this guy just had more people in his investor pool or told him he did, but then he couldn't actually perform. So that guy, I feel like, was a little bit blowing smoke up for this guy. I'll say something else, right? But he was blowing smoke and it didn't work out for this guy. But this guy, he'll probably come back to me at some point when he's ready to sell, because I really took the time to understand what he was trying to do. And instead of trying to jam what I thought was right for him and down his throat, I was really trying to understand what he wanted.
That's absolutely the name of the game. And an example of this, and what something that I've been thinking about as you've been talking. Right now, I think of you as a real estate agent's agent. Okay. If there's an issue, and I want to share this with everyone on here, if you guys have an issue and you have a problem and you're not really sure how to handle it, there's probably 4 or 5 agents, maybe a few more in the company that I would recommend you go to in different areas. Melinda's one of those people in her area that I would recommend going to, because she takes the time to learn. One of the things that she went, off script on probably about 3-4 years ago, and everybody was going to probate sales. And Melinda looked around and said, I'm not going to do probate sales. I'm going to invest in myself and become a divorce specialist. And boy, has that paid off.
Yeah, that's been going well. Well,
Uh,
I am still do probate stuff. Just that's not my main focus because I go to the Estate Planning and Trust Council here in town, and I've been a member there for 9-10 years. I get almost no business from it because there are 14 other real estate agents in the group, right? And even if I go to attorney events and there's estate planning attorneys, there are at least 5 or 6 other real estate agents in there. And I go to now divorce is not, especially what I'm going after, which is high conflict divorce, where I get appointed in a case and I have an order. That is not for the faint of heart. Right? It is not easy. And there are days, some of my friends who are in the same field as me, we always say, not my circus, not my monkeys. But it is our circus and it is our monkeys. So there is a lot of moving parts to it, and they are more what I would say pipeline deals as well. Like I took a listing probably 5 months ago, and we are gonna close before Thanksgiving. But it took almost 4 months just for it to go on the market. So we had to get one of the parties out. We had to there's a lot more front end. Now I charge a little more for these too. So there's that, right? But yeah, that has gone well, and I'm the only one really in that space in my area. There's no one else really showing up to that space, so that's really lovely.
No,
And
it's
talk like the attorneys talk.
yeah. Well, look, it's the point I'm trying to make is that you've gone out to find the answers to these things, and to not just the business, but you get involved with the transaction so that you can be of service to the clients.
Right.
And I remember being with you on that, involved with you on the foundation transaction. And I mean, that was a lot of research and searching, and could we do this? And could we do this? And actually, we discussed doing a hard money loan on it.
Right.
Just to get it closed.
Right. We were trying to figure out if we could maybe could do a hard money loan, get it paid, get it fixed, and then pay it off, but it just didn't make sense. So right. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Thanks for that.
I didn't.
Well, and I call Jackie all the time. I called her on Veterans Day. Thank you for answering on Veterans Day because I was working. And I was like, hey, what about this? And she's like, And a lot of times she has to say, let me back to you on that. Like this morning I said, is there an assumption addendum anywhere? Because we're doing a deal with an assumption right now. And I'm sure there will be at some point in the near future, just like I think at some point we'll have an ADU addendum as well. Because that's been kind of issues in the past, right? Like all of these things, I think all of these experiences help the clients make sure that they stay out of trouble for the future, because we learn where to say red flags. I teach some of the certified divorce real estate expert classes now. And I just had my new class that I'm working with at the moment. And she was like, oh, I had my first intake and I did this and this and this. And I was like, okay, great. Congratulations on your first intake. But there's a reason we have a system for it, right? And you talked about systems. We have a system. We follow this specific system and process for a reason, because if you don't, now suddenly you're not a neutral anymore. And now one party thinks that you're on their side versus the other. So if you have to follow this system or it's going to get messed up. I love systems. And I was just at the doctor's the other day and it had a sign on their desk that said, but did you document it? And I took a picture and sent it to my team. I was like, but did you document? I'm like,
well, 100%, 100%. Things happen and you're not documenting it and you have a problem. Melinda, new agent, when you talk to, well, where is your team? So talk about your team really quickly. So you have one buyer's agent.
Right. She's been with me for almost 3 years now, believe it or not. I can't believe
Right.
it.
She was almost brand new when she started.
She walked into the front desk and said, I would like to work here. How do I get a job here? And they said, what do you
Right.
do? She goes, I'm a bartender. She goes, they were like, we don't have any jobs for you. And I don't know who it was, but somebody created a job for her to help Brenda. So she worked, you did. So she's working at the front desk and she's getting her license and she's like watching everybody in the office. And she kept coming up to us and said, can I sit in on your training with your team? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And then she's like, hey, just want to let you know I'm getting my license. And if you'd have me, I'd really like to work with your team. And I was like, well, I don't know. You're brand new. Take on a new
Well,
person.
she was not the model you would be looking for. If interestingly enough, had you met her as somebody looking for a job and you didn't know her,
I
you
would not.
probably wouldn't have given her a chance.
No. Because
Right.
I want to have a brand new newbie agent.
Right.
But
Right.
I
Well,
also
that turned
knew,
out to be a great hire.
yeah, I also knew that she was, come hell or high water, she was going to find a way to make it work. So
Right.
that's why I
She
brought
was
her on.
she was a single mom with 2 kids, I think, at the time.
She wasn't married yet, but they were together still. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
what do
she
you
had a
recommend?
little and a like a 3-year-old. So she
Yeah.
had two tiny ones at the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And she's a great agent. You've helped make her a spectacular agent.
mhm.
So congratulations. All right. So it's the end of the year. You make great money, but you don't seem to stop at the end of the year. You might take time during August or September when you can do some fun things with your son. But uh, you make good money. Even right now, you're still working to open and close deals before the end of the year, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. No,
So talk a little bit about that. I believe that's where these agents can actually go out, that they have a lead or not right now, but they could work the rest of the afternoon looking for buyers and sellers, find an appointment, find a listing, go out and do the deal and get it closed before the end of the year. And they
right.
don't even know they can do it yet.
Absolutely. My favorite quarter is typically the fourth quarter. I feel like 90% of the agents stop working. So it opens the way for all those guys who are on vacation and mentally checked out, to pick up all of their business. So to me, this time of year is like, it's, when you can find that lead, it is easy to close them because other people have mentally checked out. Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, we have like, Rochelle has like 6 buyers she's working with right now. I took 2 of them because they're past clients of mine and they're kind of become friends of mine too. So, and they don't need to see that many places. So it's fine. I'll take those 2. And then she's got the other 4 that she's working. She's been running around like a maniac. We have our holiday party that we have coming up in the beginning of December. So it gives us a great excuse to call all of our past clients in Sphere to invite them to that. And we had our first, I did my first one of those last year and it was a great success. So we're doing another one this year. And there are deals that I will probably open on December 12th that will still close this year. I had a seller who called me on like November 26th one year and said, I need to get out of my house situation. My son is, abusive and I need to get out of here. And he would walk around the corner. I'd pick him up, bring him to the office. We signed all the paperwork. We sold it sight unseen with 12 offers and he moved out with a suitcase. And we closed and sold in 2.5 weeks before the end of the year. We have cases where investors need to be moved before need to close on something before the end of the year for tax purposes, that we will get the first or second week of December. almost without fail, I joke about it every year, but almost without fail, every single Thanksgiving, I have sat in my kitchen at Thanksgiving, negotiated some deal because somebody's trying to get something closed before the end of the year. So those first 2 weeks, I generally don't go anywhere. The last week of November, first week of December, because people are always trying to put some sort of deal together that time. And I firmly believe that. And so I really try not to go out of town. I also try to let my staff have time at the holidays. So I am here to kind of manage stuff. But yeah, it's really important to keep going. Plus, even if you find somebody who says, you know what, I want to wait till after the holidays, great. They go now in my holidays. I have a little tag in Follow Up Boss. This is after holidays. I call all those people January 2nd. Okay, it's after the holidays. Let's get started, right? And they kind of laugh and all of that. So all of those things, like it gets you momentum going for the beginning of the year if you haven't already. I mean, I can't even imagine starting the boulder and pushing it again in January if I've taken 2 months off at the end of the year.
No, it's a kiss of death.
Yeah.
You
Then
you
you'll
don't
get
get
started until
started.
March.
Yeah, just at the time you're paying your taxes,
Right.
you're just now starting to get momentum, and you have to write a big, stupid tax bill.
Right.
No, it's good stuff. Questions for Melinda? This has been really good stuff. She doesn't have a lot of time, ladies and gentlemen. We really drained her dry today.
I have a question. Hi, Melinda.
Hello.
So you were saying about the home inspection. I do have a question. Like sometimes the outlets don't work or the faucet doesn't work. Do you have them do those little repairs or not? Because sometimes that's what the buyers ask for, or electrical stuff.
You know, I go back to my legal answer. It depends. And it really just depends on if it's something that I feel is, if it's something that's low cost, that's going to get a good reward, I'm going to do it. Generally speaking, with if my team told you, they'd probably tell you, like, if it's something's leaking, we're gonna fix it because that has the potential to cause a bigger issue. But if it's just like fixed and like foundation issues, they're not going to get worse tomorrow, generally speaking, right? They've been there for 50 years, 100 years. They're probably not going to be worse tomorrow. But does a buyer worry about those things? Yes. But if something's actively leaking, we're probably going to fix it.
Okay.
You know, if the electrical is not working in half the house, we might fix that, right? But if it's just a couple plugs, probably not.
Got it. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Other questions for Melinda?
I got a quick one. Hey, Melinda, Lynn Fitzpatrick in Valencia.
Hello.
Hey, do the sellers ever say, well, why don't you pay for it? You're going to make a lot of commission.
No.
Okay. So they,
But if they did, I would say, you're right. I am going to make a lot of commission. I'm going to make 3% and you're going to make 97%.
oh, that's a good one.
But frankly, I don't.
When
Maybe one or
you're
two.
when you're as professional, and you could be, Lynn,
I will be.
but when you are as professional as Melinda has the answers or gets the answers, and when she talks about saving the client money with regard to starting with the home inspection, people listen. They're not looking, they're not going to nickel dime her for $300-400 worth of plugs. They're just
I'm not.
not.
And in general, like, I also read the room, right? Like, if my seller is like, I'm going to stage my house, great, let's do it. But if they're like, I don't want to stage my house, great, right? Like,
Let's not do it.
let's not do it. But like, there was a house, there was a divorcing couple, and I did make a recommendation to stage the house. And one of the spouses absolutely wanted to fight me on it, and the other one did not. And I finally convinced them to stage partially. And the reason I did is because it was a 1920s house. The floor was scuffed really badly. And they didn't want to paint, they didn't want to do anything to the house. But if we staged it, we could distract the buyer's eyes from all of the little flaws, right? So the idea was to make it more visually appealing and spend as little as possible. So I think the seller said, we'll cap it at $2,700. That's what we'll do. The stager wanted 3,000. In that case, I paid $300 because to me, it was worth it. It took care of my stager. It wasn't about the seller. It was making sure that I kept that good relationship with the stager. They still paid the bulk of it, right? The staging cost. And I got what I wanted out of it. So that
Great.
you're
Give
getting
the
common
value
sense,
first.
right? It makes sense. I'm going to spend $300 on that case.
Yeah, and you give your value first, and then you're saying this is how we're going to do it, and then this is what.
And I didn't even tell them that I paid the $300. So I just told them I got a deal on it.
Thank
Got
you.
it. Fantastic. Great.
I
Tiffany.
didn't want them to come back to me and ask me for more later, if that makes sense, right? So I didn't want them to know that I fronted that $300 to the stager.
Smart lady.
Yeah.
Tiffany, you had a
Yes.
question.
Thank you, Melinda. Quick question. You know, like when we counter back to the buyer saying that no repair will be accepted, sold as is, and then they accepted our offer, right? Because we disclose what happened to the property or what needs fixing, and then we say no repair will be accepted from the seller. After the inspection whatsoever, and they agreed, they accepted our offer. And then after they did the inspection, they come back and they ask us for credits. That happens so many times. I
Totally.
get so mad at those buyer
So here's
agents.
what we do. You cannot put in, this is my opinion, not sanctioned by anybody else, disclaimer.
Boy, are you sounding more and more like a lawyer now.
I hang out with them a lot. So my opinion is that you cannot put, yes, the contract says as is already, right? It's in there already. It says all properties in California sold as is, period, the end. Jackie can verify that. So that already says that. Don't bother putting that in your counteroffer, people. But if you fill out your transfer disclosure statement, your seller property questionnaire, and you provide a copy of a pre-sale inspection report with all of the supplemental, the additional information. And now I bundle this up and give it to the buyers before we go under contract, right? You send a TDS or an SPQ after you go under contract, the buyers can cancel even if they've removed all their contingencies because they have a 3-day right of rescission, right? I might be slightly wrong. Jackie's giving me a thumbs up. Okay, good. So you send that, you could say they've removed all their contingencies. You send out that SPQ or TDS after you go under contract, they can cancel, get their deposit back. Doesn't matter that they removed all their contingencies. But you send all of that prior to them accepting the contract, they remove all their contingencies with that contract being accepted, they now can lose their deposit once you go under escrow. Now, let's say they don't remove all their contingencies, but they keep an inspection contingency. That's fine. I'm perfectly fine with them keeping their inspection contingency. I want them to feel comfortable to go in and do their own inspection and double check because I don't want to be liable if my inspector screwed up and missed something. If my inspector screwed up and missed something, now I'm liable for that. So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. So they're welcome to go do their own inspections. And if they find something different, that's where they're going to come back and ask. Now, what happens most commonly is the buyer goes, oh, they were all excited they got their offer accepted, but then they go and do the inspections and maybe get a couple of bids, things like that. And they go, oh, I didn't realize it was going to cost me $20,000 to fix all of these things. Now I'm going to ask for $20,000. But I've already given them this in advance. So now when I'm negotiating, because that's my job is to negotiate on behalf of the seller, I say to the other agent, hey, I appreciate that your buyer's concerned about all of these things. And yet this inspection report matches identically the inspection report that we gave you. There's nothing new on here. We're not giving you anything. Or as a courtesy, the sellers agreed to give you $2,000 instead of $20,000. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, they accept it.
Thank you.
It's how you approach it, Tiffany. Okay. But this system really does work. We've been practicing it and practicing it for years.
And I think we do it for 10 years like this.
Yeah, and the agents that are using it, I remember you buying into this. You and I were discussing the possibilities of it one day, and you said, and you were so frustrated with the agents going back and
hate
forth,
repair
give me
requests.
this, give me this. You were spending more time there than trying to get a listing.
I hate repair requests with a passion. It is
All
the
right,
least favorite
other
part of my job.
questions, other questions for Melinda, other questions for Melinda, anyone else? This has been a great session, really good stuff. Okay, anyone else have anything else they want to ask her before we move on? Melinda, let me ask you, anything we didn't cover that you wanted to make sure the agents heard today?
You know, I get, and I'm going to address this because I get calls about it after. So, attorneys in the divorce space, and even just attorneys in general, they are not, you can't treat them like Spear and call them and ask them who they know that's going to look to buy or sell a home. Like you can't, unless they're your friend, you can't treat them that way. It's a totally different business model, in my opinion, than it is for that. And it takes time and it takes money to do. It's a much more of a business to business kind of thing. Yes, you create relationships with them, like you would with past clients and sphere of influence, but you have to build trust, and they get bombarded with real estate agent solicitations all the time. So you have to go about it a different way. If you want to get me more question about that, let me know. But I get that question a lot, and it is something that I've built over the last 2 to 3 years. So, and it's just starting to show that payoff. So, if you can't afford to spend probably invest $50,000 or so, like that's how much I invested my first year in working with the attorneys to grow that arm of my business, then don't do it yet. You're not ready for it yet.
Okay, good. Great information. Melinda,
Melinda,
go ahead.
when you
Tiffany?
say time and money, what are you talking about? Like, what kind of money are we talking about? Are we giving them gifts, or are we spending money on marketing? What is it like, money?
For the attorneys, mostly
Yeah.
sponsorships.
Oh,
But a lot of it is time. Like I go to, if there's an attorney, a family law attorney there, I'm there. I teach MCLE classes, which is like the continuing education. It's their continuing education classes. I'm certified to teach MCLE classes, things like that. So, yeah. But there's a whole, again, it's a system, right? I have a whole system for that. I'm all about the systems, and anything you can do to systematize will make you more efficient and make your business better.
All right, everybody.
That's my takeaway.
And very much appreciated. It's real smart. Unmute yourselves, please. Let's go. Let's give her a big hand. This has been amazing. What a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Really good.
Certified.
Melinda, fantastic.
The classes.
Welcome.
The attorney.
Good job. Really good job. Okay. We'll get this ended up here. Let me go around the room and ask what agents learned. So I want to do that. I don't want to do that right now. So let's go into that right now. What did you guys learn today? Who wants to go first? Miriam? Miriam, did you want to raise your hand? Sylvia, did you want to raise your hand?
Sellers get 97%. We only make 3%.
Go for it, Lynn. Good, smart. Okay. Good job. Brandon, you always come up with the smartest things what'd you learn today?
Oh, I learned about the pre-inspection today and how it helps negotiate in the transaction later. I think that's huge, and also document it. And I like how you broke it down as, oh, you knew about it, and as a courtesy, we're willing to give you this much. I like how you structured that whole deal.
Yeah, it's a smart way. Plus, it puts you in charge. It keeps you in charge. Keeps you in charge. Good. Excellent. Melinda, Margaret's son asked a question. It's something about the home inspection was paid by the seller. How did you educate the seller
I'm
to
I'm
pay for it?
guessing that, well, what I say is, so one of the things we do to help make sure we protect your equity in this home is we do a pre-sale inspection prior to going on the market. In that pre-sale inspection, we're going to find out basically a snapshot of what's going on with your home. You're used to all the things in your home, so you don't know what's there, what's not right. You just skip by the stuff that you don't even know that's wrong. And you certainly don't crawl into your house or go into your attic very often, do you? No. Okay. And some of them they do. So I laugh when they do. But then I said, so most people don't. So what we're going to do is you're going to pay for an inspection. It'll be, $600 or so. So we'll go through, you're going to check out all the major systems, and we're going to give that to the buyer prior to going on the market. The only time I ever get pushback really is when the sellers know there's something wrong and they don't want to disclose it. They don't want us to find it. So that to me tells me there's something wrong anyway. But yeah, that's basically it. And they're like, okay, so that's a cost that I have to pay. Yeah. Oh, doesn't the buyer normally pay for that? You're right. Absolutely. The buyer may pay for their own inspection report as well. But what we've learned is that if you spend $600 to do this inspection report, generally speaking, the average repair request is anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000. So you can spend $600 to save $15,000 or $20,000. Would that be okay?
Absolutely. Very well done. Excellent. Okay.
You could tell I practiced that a few times, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You're very good at it. Okay. So, what else did we learn today?
How about the person with the most data is in the most control?
100. Wow. So important, especially today with AI and everything. All of you, how do I say this without being condescending? Not to you, Thomas. I think this is a challenging time for an average real estate agent. Okay, I will not point out who I think is an average real estate agent or not. I think you'll know. And I think the fact that we're not getting a lot of questions is because we're not, as an industry, we're not doing most of what we should be doing on a regular basis. Jackie, you deal with this every single day, right? You deal with non-disclosures, hiding disclosures. I mean, Jackie, we probably talk twice a week on something that's a little fishy, right?
Right. The one thing I did love that Melinda brought up, which everyone hopefully heard, was there is no such thing as is. So stop arguing with the agents about I told them so. So great point, along with many others, Melinda.
Yeah. So what happens is I think that we as an industry are not up to speed. I'm running into this as I'm getting more educated on what I need to do to educate agents with regard to AI, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, let me do something. Let me give you if you're not up to speed on AI with regard to your business and you have no intentions of doing any work on it, leave now. It'll be way less painful. Okay? Leave now, because what got us here is not going to get us there. That's one of the issues. Another issue is becoming we talk about becoming the best real estate agent you can. I think we're seeing that some of the best real estate agents there are out there are even a little better than some of us great real estate agents, and we got to figure out how to catch up and get ahead. Okay? Not equal to, but greater than. Okay. And if you can't, I apologize, but, and you can do it. I've watched Melinda go from a slightly above average real estate agent back when we got together, coaching together, and maybe a little even above, slightly above average. But boy, she took all the things that we were teaching. She inhaled all the things Mike was teaching. She tried to get better at spending money and holding on to money and cash flows with money, but she made really hard decisions. I so respect some of those decisions you had to make, Melinda, to keep it going, so to speak.
Right.
And then you came back with a vengeance.
And it took time. It didn't happen the next day either.
Right.
Like you
Right.
know, just turn the ship around. Although when they park those Disney cruise ships, it's pretty incredible. But you can't just like turn on a dime, right? Like they have to plan for it and move. And
Yeah.
you're kind of like a cruise ship when you're going along, right? You're going this way, but you can't just that way, right?
No, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. You know, I use the same analogy, but I use it on aircraft carriers.
Same
You know,
idea.
to make a left turn with an aircraft carrier takes a few miles.
Right. Right. And it took like that after I got rid of the other buyers agents, it took a while to get
Yeah, it did.
going
It
course
did.
corrected. But now it's like things are clicking along. And
What I want to make
we're just
sure
talking
everybody
change is
sees. Go ahead. So I'm sorry. Go
I'm
ahead.
just gonna say change is just constant. We were just talking about this with my staff the other day. It was like, you know, they just changed how you input listings. I haven't input a listing in 8 years, but I had to do it because my director of operations was had to leave the office and my rest of my staff was on vacation. So I was on vacation, but we figured out how to input a listing.
Figure out how I feel. I don't even know how to open a door on a lock.
Well, I can still do that. I got that one still.
But I want everybody to get this, clearly get this. This is what I'm seeing. This is my aha, is that this model, this type of business person, this real estate agent that we're seeing and hearing today is going to be the baseline in the future, in the very near future. It's going to be our baseline. If you're up to it, great, fantastic. If you're not, meaning you're not willing to get educated, do the hard work, et cetera, you know, there's a, what are they, there's a, you can get a job at Walmart, I guess, you know, being a greeter. Because that's what's going to happen, Brendan. I promise you. Okay. I don't want to scare you personally, but I was talking to you. No, I'm kidding. Everybody with me on this? Come on.
Yes.
Yes.
Seriously, Melinda,
Yes.
seriously, this is so eye-opening. And I watched you move up, but I didn't realize how much further ahead you are. So good for you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right, Eva, let's give her a big hand. Woo! All right. Good
Yeah,
job.
all
Good job, good
right.
job.
Thanks.
All
Thank
right.
you, Melinda.
Boy, I'm going to send this out to everybody to watch 3 times.
Awesome.
All right. Appreciate you,
Enjoy.
Melinda. Hugs
Thanks,
to the
Melinda. Bye.
baby.
Thanks, Melinda.
And we'll go from there to your lovely wife. And
Thank you.
I appreciate you. I just, like I say all the time, we're either an example or we're a warning. And well, you could be both. Could be one of the first that's both. You're a great example and you're a warning, because if you don't do this stuff, you guys are in trouble.
Right. Right.
All right, everyone.
Okay.
Have a powerful day. Who is
Bye.
next? Who is next? Who is next? Here it is. Mike G? No. Frank, you up? Thomas, always a pleasure to see you, buddy.
Thanks, Neil, for what you do.
When you have a minute, call me and tell me about the bridge you bought. I love it.
See you later.
All right, you be well. So who we got? Is Melly next or is it Frank? Who's Melly? Jackie, did you bring a Melly today?
No, Melly.
Turn off
Frank?
record.
Oh, you want me to turn off the record? What? Why is it you're the only guy